The forest was still enough to make silence sound heavy. Dew clung to every blade of grass, and mist wound through the trees like something alive. The tent stood at the center of the clearing, zipped shut, its fabric slick with morning cold. The ranger's breath met the mist as he crouched near the entrance, afraid to touch what shouldn't have been possible. No torn seams, no footprints, no sign of struggle. Only that perfect, sealed line. He whispered to no one, wondering if she had left or vanished between seconds. And then he saw it, a single drag mark in the dirt, leading nowhere. Who zipped it shut? Why did the ground pulse beneath it? And what secret was the forest trying to keep this time? The ranger logs the incident formally, his handwriting too careful, too deliberate. He writes about a sealed tent, missing camper, and zero signs of forced entry. Yet the words don't feel like facts. They feel like memory. Every stroke of his pen sounds like wind pressing against canvas. Outside, a single pine cone drops, and the sound makes him look up as if expecting a reply. She listens to the ranger's report in silence, recording the audio on her phone. The details sound wrong, too clean, too measured. Every missing story begins the same way. An impossible scene, an empty tent, a silence that feels personal. She knows that kind of silence. It's the same one that came after her brother's last voicemail. The deputy stands outside the ranger's office, cigarette burning between his fingers. He thinks about the tent, the missing girl, and the look on Elias's face when he saw it. A look not of shock, but recognition. Smoke curls upward, and he wonders how many stories in this town have been rewritten to stay quiet. The old maintenance worker walks the empty trail after sunset. The forest hums low, alive in its silence. He stops by the clearing where the tent once stood. The soil is disturbed, the air heavy. He kneels, presses his hand to the ground, and whispers something only the earth would understand. The air thickens with questions no one wants to ask aloud. The ranger avoids the trail, walking only along old paths that lead nowhere now. He feels the forest watching, each step echoing the same unspoken thought. This has happened before. Somewhere inside the office, drawers slam, papers shuffle, but no one admits searching. The map pinned to the wall hums faintly, as if alive under its pins. At night, the ranger dreams of the same tent. But this time, it's unzipped, and someone's breathing inside. She sits alone in her car, listening again to the recording from the tent. Each time, the whisper grows clearer. Not words, but rhythm. A cadence almost human. It matches her brother's last voicemail, recorded 5 years earlier. Same static, same pauses. She presses her palms to her temples, realizing the mountain is repeating itself, an echo chamber of every secret buried in its soil. A sound recorder hums on the desk. The deputy listens, rewinds, and listens again. There's a faint knock in the background. Once, then twice. It's the same sound he heard by the tent, but now it plays through speakers that shouldn't contain forest noises. He lowers the volume, staring into the static, as if waiting for something to speak back. The maintenance shed smells of rust and damp wood. The air is heavy with tools, ropes, and old secrets. A drawer slides open, not by accident. Inside, a folder marked with a name long erased from official records. The same trail, the same coordinates. The ranger's old handwriting bleeds through the yellowed paper, trembling like it's alive. Night descends fast over the mountain, swallowing the last light in the pines. The wind carries voices that mimic names. 3 people lie awake in 3 different places, yet the forest seems to breathe in rhythm with their fear. Somewhere, unseen, another zipper slides shut. Not loud, just enough to say it's not over. The phone lies on the evidence table, its cracked screen pulsing like a heartbeat. The recording plays through static. the faint sound of wind pressing against fabric. Then, a voice, a girl whispering that she can hear someone walking outside her tent. Footsteps, circling, soft and deliberate. The room grows colder as the voice turns into something else. A whisper, saying the same word again and again. A name, not hers. The ranger listens next, standing further back as if afraid of the sound itself. The girl's voice is trembling but steady, describing light outside, movement in shadows. Then, the whisper again. His face changes, not fear, but recognition. The deputy glances toward him and sees it too. That voice wasn't unknown. It was familiar. It had spoken once before, 10 years ago. The deputy replays the last 30 seconds alone, his thumb frozen above the pause button. The whisper repeats his own name. Once, then again. The sound is low, almost gentle, but filled with something human enough to be terrifying. He turns off the phone, breathing hard, but the sound doesn't stop. It keeps playing, faint and rhythmic, from somewhere behind him. In the shed, another tape recorder turns on by itself. A man's voice, older, worn. A confession half finished. The same trail number repeated like a mantra. Then the sound of rain hitting canvas, heavy and fast. The worker doesn't breathe until it stops. When he exhales, it isn't fog that leaves his mouth, but dust, dry and gray, like the forest floor. At midnight, the girl's final voice note plays. The sound of rain, her breath, the creak of the zipper. She says she's inside the tent, and someone else is too. Then, silence. A sudden rush of air and the faint click of a zipper pulled from the inside. The recording ends there, but when played again, new sounds appear. Breathing. Not hers. Something waiting just beyond the edge of sound. Rain falls like static, washing away the last trace of daylight. 3 figures move through the trees, flashlights flickering against trunks slick with water. Each path looks like the last, looping endlessly. Somewhere above the storm, a branch cracks, echoing like a scream. The forest seems to fold in on itself, swallowing light, bending direction. They try to find the clearing again, but every turn leads back to where they started. The storm isn't just weather. It's memory replaying itself. The wind tears through branches, carrying whispers that sound too close, too human. She stops, her voice shaking as she calls out, only for her echo to answer from the wrong direction. Lightning reveals shapes carved into the trees, the same marks described in an old report she read earlier. She touches one, and sap runs warm down her hand. The air smells like iron. Her breath quickens. The forest remembers her name. Norsh. No, he shouts into the storm for them, his voice lost beneath thunder. His flashlight flickers and dies. In the brief darkness, he sees shapes moving where light had been. Figures that mimic him, turning their heads in unison. The wind grows sharp, carrying fragments of whispered names. When his flashlight blinks back to life, he's staring at his own footprints leading into the woods. Too many for one man. The storm peaks, howling through every hollow in the forest. A lantern swings from a branch, though no one remembers hanging it. The maintenance worker follows its faint glow until it stops above a carved circle on the ground. He drops to his knees, brushes away wet leaves, and uncovers bones. Human. Too recent. The lightning flashes again, and the lantern's flame flickers blue, not orange. For a moment, it almost sounds like the forest is breathing. They regroup at dawn's edge, soaked, trembling, but breathing. The rain has stopped, yet drops still fall from nowhere. The clearing is gone. No tent, no trace, only churned soil where it should have been. The forest stands silent, patient. Someone asks if they heard it too. The laughter under the thunder. No one answers. The ranger looks down and sees something small glinting in the mud. A zipper pull, clean and new. The air hums softly, like the start of another recording. The morning light carries no warmth. Mist hangs low, clinging to the ground like breath from something sleeping beneath it. They move silently, tracing the old trail to the clearing that shouldn't exist anymore. The ranger stops first, staring at the disturbed soil. He knows this place. His voice breaks the silence with 2 words. We dig. The others hesitate, shovels in hand, as the ground gives off a scent like rain and iron. Somewhere, deep under the mud, the forest sighs, as if it's been waiting to be opened again. The first layer of earth peels away easily. Beneath it, they find a fragment of blue cloth, torn and stiff with age. The deputy turns it over with gloved hands, reading the faded logo stitched across it. It's not the missing girls. It's older. Much older. The ranger doesn't look at it. He keeps digging faster now, as if he already knows what lies beneath the next shovelful. The forest hums low, almost like approval. Her camera whirs softly, recording every movement. The dirt, the tension, the silence that follows each metallic scrape. She's not sure why she's still filming. Maybe proof, maybe penance. The lens fogs over with breath as the hole deepens. Then something metallic clinks. Not a rock. A sound, sharp and final. The ranger freezes. Everyone looks down. It's a zipper pull, half buried, caked with mud, but not rusted. Brand new. New. The worker arrives late, shovel in hand, eyes shadowed. He doesn't ask what they've found. He simply kneels beside them and starts to dig with quiet, steady rhythm, as though he's done it before. The hole widens, and beneath the packed mud, pale shapes begin to emerge. Bones tangled in roots, wrapped in faded fabric. The ranger whispers a name none of them recognize. The worker stops digging, lifts his gaze, and says softly, You shouldn't have come back here. By dusk, the pit is a gaping wound in the clearing. Inside lies a skeleton wrapped in ranger canvas, the kind used a decade ago. Silence stretches as realization settles over them all. It isn't the missing camper. It's someone else. The ranger kneels beside the remains, hand trembling as he touches the badge still pinned to the fabric. His own initials etched faintly into the metal. The forest creaks, slow and heavy, like an exhale of satisfaction. Somewhere behind them, a zipper slides shut. Night drops fast, sudden as a breath held too long. The forest turns silver under the glow of their flashlights, the air thick with mist that refuses to move. Radios hiss and crackle, carrying faint static that sometimes forms words. They split into pairs to cover the trails. The ranger tells them not to wander past the creek. He doesn't say why. He doesn't need to. Every rustle sounds like footsteps too close to be wind. Every echo feels like something following. They move in silence. Only the drip of rain from branches and the soft crunch of mud beneath their boots. The deputy shines his light on a tree trunk and freezes. Symbols. The same ones carved during the storm, but fresher now. Edges still bleeding sap. He calls out to the others, but the radio answers first, echoing his voice back with perfect mimicry. Then the batteries die, one by one, in every device they carry. She stops by the creek, breath sharp in the cold air. The sound of running water steadies her until she realizes it's not moving. The current has stilled, frozen mid-flow like glass. She steps closer, kneels, and sees her reflection staring back. Only it blinks a second later than she does. Her pulse kicks hard, and she stumbles backward, the sound of snapping twigs breaking the quiet like gunfire. The worker's voice calls faintly through the trees, too faint to be carried by wind. The ranger turns, heart pounding. The sound comes from the wrong direction, deeper into the woods. He runs toward it, branches whipping his face. The voice stops. Then, from ahead, comes the unmistakable sound of a shovel striking dirt. Once, twice, he reaches the clearing, chest heaving. But it's empty, only an open hole and footprints leading into the dark. By dawn, they find his flashlight still burning beside the hole. No sign of him, no footprints beyond that point. Just the faint imprint of knees in the soil, and one handprint pressed deep, as if pulled downward. The ranger doesn't speak. The deputy whispers a prayer he doesn't believe in. The forest is silent again. The radios start working at sunrise, all channels filled with the same faint sound, breathing. The forest feels hollow now, drained of sound but heavy with presence. Morning bleeds into gray noon. They follow the path back toward the ranger station, but it isn't there. The trail curves endlessly, always returning to the same clearing that should have been empty. Then they see it. The tent stands again, clean, dry, zipped tight from the inside. The earth beneath it looks freshly turned. None of them move. None of them breathe. It feels like stepping into a memory that refuses to let go. The ranger steps closer, whispering that it can't be the same one. They took the original into evidence. The deputy says nothing. The podcaster lifts her camera, recording every trembling second. The air hums faintly, the sound low enough to feel in their bones. A faint breath echoes from within the tent. Someone, or something, is inside. The zipper twitches once, like an exhale made visible. None of them move. A sound breaks the air. The faint hum of a phone starting to record. Then a voice. The girl's. Calm, trembling, whispering the same sentence from the old file. Someone's outside. It's not coming from the phone this time. It's coming from inside the tent. The ranger whispers her name, his own voice cracking in half. The fabric shifts again, slow and deliberate, and the zipper begins to move on its own, downward. He reaches toward her. She tilts her head, watching him like someone trying to remember a face. The tent's floor ripples like water, spreading out beneath her knees. The air thickens, hum deepening into a pulse. The deputy yells his name, but sound bends. Everything slows. The ranger touches the flap. Light bursts outward, blinding and cold. When the glare fades, the tent is sealed again. The space around it smells like rain and static. By nightfall, the clearing is empty again. The forest has taken back its silence. Only the camera remains, lying half buried in dirt, lens cracked but still recording. It captures stillness, the fog, the trees, the faint shape of the tent barely visible in the distance. Then, after hours of quiet, something crawls into frame. A hand. Pale, trembling, covered in soil. It grips the camera once, turns it toward the tent, and the zipper begins to close from the inside.